Hi and welcome back. So in the last video I showed you how I get the logs onto my mill and get them ready for milling. So in this video I'm going to show you how I prepare the mill and get it all set up so the mill's ready to mill the log. I walk you through my process for putting on a new blade, adjusting the guides, setting the tension, adjusting the tracking of the blade on the band wheels. So we're going to get right into this video and I hope you enjoy. So what I need to do is get the blade on one side and slide it inside the guide at the same time. Here. And then over on the other side. You're going to want to make sure your blade tensioner is loose so it'll go on. So now I'm putting it on one side and it's coming off the other side. That's fine. Okay. And again, this would be a whole lot easier if I did this before putting the log on, but I'm not, again, not very bright. So the blade is on mostly, so it's at least on the wheels. I'll put a little bit of tension on it just to keep it from coming off now. What I need to do, set the tension on the blade and then make my adjustments. So in order to set the tension on your blade, they tell you to use a torque wrench and set your torque to 25 foot-pounds. I like to set mine to 30 so it's a little bit tighter. And you're going to need, at least for my Woodland Mills HM130, a 24mm socket. And I'm going to tighten this blade down to 30 foot-pounds. So with the torque wrench, you just go to, you feel it click. Like that. Now what I like to do is spin my blade to make sure it's on track. And what I mean by that is I'm spinning the blade to making sure that when I spin it probably 5 or 10 times, that in the end it's in the same spot on both wheels. So the back of the blade is right in line with the back of the wheel. On this side, it's actually perfect. This side, not so much. So since I do use 30 foot-pounds, I'm going to take a little off of it just to see if that helps. Because as you tension it, it changes how the blade tracks. So what I need to do is adjust my blade tracking, because these two sides are off a little bit. So I'm going to need to get a wrench to adjust it. I'll be back. Alright, so this is the adjustment for the band wheel. And this will change the tracking of the blade. So first thing I need to do is loosen this inner nut. And I use an adjustable wrench because these nuts and bolts are in good shape and they come free pretty easily. I'm not afraid of stripping them because these bolts are like brand new. So, all right. So now I loosen that inner nut, and now to adjust the tracking, I just turn this bolt. So what I'm going to do is turn it one way, and I don't remember which way does which. I could go look it up, but it'll be easier just to make an adjustment and see which way it moves. think if I push it this way, it goes that way, which is not what I want. Actually, I think it's doing what I want. Alright, that's perfect. So what you do is you just adjust this, bolt, and you just keep spinning the wheels until the blade's tracking the same on both sides, and then the back of the blade is in line with the back of the wheel on the inside. Once you get your adjustment where you want it, bring that nut back up, and then just give it one extra little turn, and that will make sure that this now stays in place.
I'm gonna get in a little closer.
So we get our blade on, and the tracking set, and the tension set. You want to set your tension before you make all these adjustments, because if you remove your tension and put it back on, it's going to throw everything off again. So you want to, every time you set your tension, you need to make sure everything is adjusted properly. Now that we got our tension set and our tracking set, we need to make sure our guides and our guide bearings are set properly. So I just use this screwdriver or something. You can use a compressor to blow it out, but basically you're going to clean all the sawdust out that's in here. So there's a little bearing in here, behind here. And what I like to do is sometimes these bearings seize up. For some reason they seize up frequently for me. I just like to make sure that they spin freely. Then what I need to do is loosen up these adjustments. So this bolt here is a 16 millimeter, and this is the bolt that loosens up the adjustment to bring the whole guide back and forth. So we want to loosen that up. So now that I've loosened this nut and bolt here, I can slide this freely back and forth, and I can feel the bearing behind it is moving freely, so it's not seized up. And I did the same on the other side. This is the other side, and in order to loosen this side, you have to loosen this bolt here. So what I do is I just rip the paper down into a strip so it'll fit in behind the bearing. So what I need to do, that's why you want to get all the dust out, because you're going to need to get in behind there. That's why I have this little screwdriver here, so I can clean out behind that bearing. Now, slide this piece of paper in between the bearing and where the blade's going to touch. Bring the whole guide assembly up to the blade. And I'm just going to get this a little bit. I want to get this level so the guide itself here isn't touching the blade. Alright, so we're going to bring the guide assembly forward, and then I'm just going to tighten it by hand first. Then I'm going to tighten it with my ratchet. I'm going to pull the paper out. And what I want to see is when I move the blade that the bearing doesn't move, but if I push back on the blade and move it, the bearing does move. So that means when there's pressure on the front of the blade while you're cutting, the bearing is going to keep the blade from moving back and moving around while you're in the cut. So this side is all set. I'm going to bring this nut down here and just tighten it. I'm going to tighten this down with my wrench. Alright, so tightening that nut will keep that from moving around. Now we're going to do the other side. Get all this sawdust out of here. We're going to get this piece of paper in between the bearing and the blade again, like we did on the other one. Make sure it's free and clear of sawdust as much as we can. I'm going to bring the guide assembly forward. It's touching the paper. Now we're going to tighten this. Make sure while you're tightening it that it stays in position. Make sure that when you move the blade, the bearing's moving a little, but just very slightly. So I'm not really too worried about that. So I know when I push on it, it's going to move it really good.
Someone's here.
Alright, so I've got everything tensioned up and the guide's all adjusted, the tension's set, the blade tracking is set. I just have to set the dog on my log. Make sure I got fuel. I'll probably make sure I get some fluid in the lubrication tank, and then we'll be ready to cut. Our gas level. Looks like we have enough gas in here. Try to run for a little while. Now I'm going to check my lube tank. Of course, move my tools out of the way. Cutting through those would be a big mistake. Alright, looks like just topping it off, it looks like there was plenty in there anyway. We'll make sure that we'll open the valve on it and make sure it'll come through. Alright, lube's working. We've got our tension, our belt, our tracking, our guides are set. We got fuel, we got lubrication. I'm just going to set the log dog. And I'm actually going to pressure wash the log. So we're going to stop this video right here because this really closes up and finishes up the portion where I set the log up and getting it ready for milling the log. I want to break this up into a few videos. My process from loading the log to preparing the mill to mill the log to actually milling the log and treating and stacking the wood when I'm done. Because if you have any suggestions on how I could do it better, it'd be awesome if you had that information and could share it with me in the comments. And at the same time, if there's something I'm doing that you might be able to learn from, then even better. I will be shortly putting out in the next week or so the next video on milling this beech log that I loaded up on the mill. So again, thanks for watching. I hope you liked the video. If you did, please hit like. If you didn't, you can hit the dislike, but also if you wouldn't mind, please leave me a comment below and let me know how I can do better. Please consider hitting the subscribe button, and if you do, you'll notice there's going to be a bell icon. Click that and you'll be notified of all my future videos. So anyways, I appreciate you being here. I hope you join the channel, and we'll see you on the next video.